Hello everyone! In today's video, I will try a rather interesting and simple recipe with chicken eggs, a familiar ingredient that every household has. Not only is it a dish, chicken eggs also have many great tips that you may have never tried before. First, I took out a tray of fresh chicken eggs, in which there were quite a few for me to choose from. I carefully observed each egg and noticed that there were eggs with smooth shells, some with slightly rougher shells. At this point, I decided to choose the egg with the rough shell to test. I picked it up and shook it gently to feel the inside to see if there was any difference. After choosing the egg to test, I continued to put all the remaining eggs into a clean, prepared basin. Then, I added a teaspoon of salt, not too much salt, just enough to support the testing process. And finally, I filled the basin with water, covering all the eggs inside. Once the salt is in the basin, I stir it with my hands to dissolve it completely in the water. This will help the salt to disperse evenly, creating a gentle solution around each egg. After stirring, I leave the basin of eggs to soak for about 7 to 10 minutes. This is enough time for the salt to take effect, helping to clean and remove impurities on the eggshells. When the time has passed, I start to use my hands to take each egg out, gently wash it in the basin of salt water to ensure the eggshells are cleaner. Then, I take each egg out and let it drain. This way, all the eggs are clean, ready for the next step. Next, I prepared a pot of clean water, put it on the stove, and covered it to boil. While waiting for the water to start boiling, I took the opportunity to prepare the eggs. I took out 2 small bowls, put a little water in each bowl. Then, I carefully cracked 2 eggs and put them in each bowl. This will help the eggs keep their round shape and make it easier to put them in the pot of hot water. When the water in the pot started to boil, I went back and gently put each prepared egg into the pot. Then, I quickly covered the lid to stabilize the temperature in the pot and help the eggs cook evenly. Observe for a while. When I see the egg whites in the pot gradually change from clear white to opaque white, I use a small spoon to gently separate each egg, avoiding them sticking together. This needs to be done slowly and carefully to keep the beautiful shape of each egg. After separating, I continue to cover the pot for a while so that the yolk inside can cook more thoroughly, creating beautiful and just cooked eggs. After covering the lid to let the eggs cook more thoroughly, I continued to wait for about 10 to 15 minutes. When I opened the lid, I could immediately see that the yolk inside was cooked evenly and firmer than before. At this point, I turned off the stove and carefully scooped each egg onto a plate. The result was a delicious plate of boiled eggs, looking extremely attractive and beautiful. But it didn't stop there. To make the dish more flavorful, I would prepare a simple sauce. I took a small bowl, added a spoonful of soy sauce, a little salt, a spoonful of olive oil, and some chopped green onions to enhance the flavor. Finally, I added about 3 spoons of egg broth, stirring well to create a fragrant and thick sauce. When the sauce was ready, I put 3 boiled eggs in the bowl, gently stirring to let the eggs absorb the spices. Then, I used a spoon to hold an egg, and at the same time, used chopsticks to split it in half to check the inside. And as expected, the egg white was smooth, the yolk was cooked just right, soaked in the fragrant sauce, making the dish more attractive and irresistible than ever. So with just a few simple steps, I have a plate of boiled eggs combined with a rich sauce, both delicious and pleasing to the eye. This is a recipe that anyone can try at home to change the taste of their daily meals. If you find this video useful, don't forget to leave me a like, share it with your friends, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss the next videos. Thank you for watching. See you again in other interesting dishes.